Shalom, Kahalayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakakurash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of GMS who rule well, and salutations and blessings to you elect, starting with the 144,000. So what you just heard is a technique called, hold on one sec, I got it, backmasking, okay? Backmasking. So what is backmasking? Backmasking is a technique where a message is recorded backward on a track that is meant to be played forward. When the track is played normally, the message sounds like gibberish, but when played backward, the message can be heard. It's often used for comedic, artistic, or satirical effects and can also be used to censor profanity in songs. So this is a technique that people know about it here and there, and there's a lot of conspiracy on it. But as you heard, that song, which was by Led Zeppelin, "Stairway to Heaven," right? "Stairway to Heaven." When you play it backwards, that's what you get. So pretty much, this was decades ago. Okay, you're talking about decades ago. Right? So how much more better did they get at it now, right? With Esau and his science and whatnot. This man has weaponized music against you. Right? Now, this guy, the guitarist of Led Zeppelin, he had a deep and documented fascination with the occultist Aleister Crowley. Surprise, surprise. He was a devout devotee of Crowley's philosophy and even owned Crowley's former home, Boleskine House, on the shores of Loch Ness. Okay? Page was known for his fascination with the occult, and Crowley was a central figure in his interests. He collected Crowley memorabilia, including books, artwork, and ceremonial robes. So these devils, man, look, you guys are singing all these songs. These guys influenced a whole generation too. Okay? This was during the whole rock and roll time. Now, hold on. You see the Beatles as well, right? They had him on their cover as well. Okay? So you can understand how who these guys are down with. What's really going on. This is top magic. This guy's a devil too, man. Forget his name. He already passed, but he's coming back in the kingdom with a rude awakening. Jimmy something. But anyway, let me get this article here. This is what the hell? Here, this is the Great When, right? .com. Jimmy Page, Aleister Crowley, and the Curse of Eddie and the Hot Rods. Here's this devil right here. He's coming back too. Ooh, this guy's gonna be in flames, man. For the uninitiated, Crowley was a British writer who used sex, drugs, and magic, often simultaneously, to try to attain altered states of mind, and who achieved such a level of notoriety for his activities that he was brandished the wickedest man in the world. If not wicked, he was certainly a character, as well as signing his letters 666 and conducting numerous affairs with lovers of both sexes. He climbed mountains, wrote pornographic poetry, fraternized with novelists, artists, and spies, and attempted to wire a new American national anthem. Let's go down here. Crowley was keen, but the plot... Hold on, no. It is claimed Hubbard L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology, which that's another guy who followed him, obviously, took part in sexual magic with a couple called Jack and Betty Parsons in an attempt to create a magical child, thus fulfilling a prophecy from Crowley's The Book of the Law. Crowley was not impressed, writing in one of his typically entertaining letters, apparently Parsons or Hubbard or somebody is producing a moonchild. I get fairly frantic when I contemplate the idiocy of these louts. Crowley was bisexual and a heavy drug user, eventually becoming addicted to heroin. He also enjoyed peyote, handed it out at parties. Now you see, you got peyote in mainstream today. It's being pushed. Oh, go experience and you know, open your third eye, right? Heal your trauma. You know, now you can understand, man. These are occult practices, and these guys do this stuff to do what? To thin the wall between the spiritual and the physical realm, to tap into the spiritual realm. But once you open them portals, man, you open your mind. Them spirits aren't asking to come in. Them spirits are jumping in. Okay, they're taking over. All right, so it says he also enjoyed peyote, handing it out at parties. No At parties on one occasion in New York, he gave some to the novelist Theodore Dreiser, who became uncomfortable and asked if there was a doctor in the area. I don't know about a doctor, said Crowley, but there's a first class undertaker on the corner of 33rd and 6th. It says this freeness with sex and drugs saw Crowley embraced by the rock and roll generation, particularly after he appeared on the cover of Sgt. Pepper. But the story behind another of Crowley's cover appearances is not so well known. In 1977, Essex rockers Eddie and the Hot Rod wrote a song that was partly inspired by Crowley's famous motto, "Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law." The band rewrote this as "Do anything you want to do," a spirited ode to self-empowerment, and attached the lyrics to a perky pop tune that quickly reached the top 10. It was engineered by a young Steve Lillwhite, who recorded it at Island Studio in Notting Hill. Okay, so now you're understanding this music being weaponized against you, how it has to do with the occult, right? And hold on, right? This is not a joke, man. This is real, right? When they went from 432 to 440 hertz, that was an international standard initiated by somebody. Okay, people didn't. It wasn't by choice, you know, or if you want to. No, this is the standard, right? And when you check out 432 and 440, it sounds better, and your cells react to it right away in a positive way. You know, you start to vibrate because it starts doing things literally to you, it starts healing you and doing all these other things. So these devils, man, and that whole thing with the reverse, you know, playing the record in reverse. Like I said, there's a movie called I had the video actually, Little Nicky. This movie, Little Nicky. We know that they hide truth and satire a lot of times, you know. So I'm gonna play it real quick. Again, it's a little eccentric. It's a little out there. It's satire, but it's what are they showing you? That's how they move. That's exactly how they move. They're showing you, yo, a record like Chicago that everybody loves. You know, that's a huge record. Can have something subliminal on it. So all this music, man, the the vibration it's in 440, and then the subliminals in there, it's just warping your mind, bro. It's just literally taking a hold of you and making you become a different person, putting spirits on you. So that's why for us brothers too, it's so important. Be careful what you eat, not only with your mouth, what you ingest in your mind, what you watch, what you listen to. You might be in the car just tuning out, listen to something, bugged out. You know, on the radio, maybe one of those songs that you had in your playlist. You got to go through that playlist once in a while, man. More than once in a while. Take out shit, you know? I'll be taking out songs left and right. You know, I'm trying to add more things that make me feel better. You know? So, let me get this. This is this is a big battle that we're in, man. And it's the hardest battle. It says Ephesians 6 and 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. I read in NLT, for we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world. So how do you train for that? How do you don't do 100 push-ups, you know? bicep curls, bench press, hitting the heavy bag, the double end bag, you block, Satan. Oh. You got to slip here, roll. No, brother. Paul's going to tell you. All right, it says, against mighty powers in this dark world and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Therefore, put on every piece of the Most High's armor, so you will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. We're in the time of evil. We're in the climax of the time of evil. We've been in a time of evil, but that's why I said we're in the climax. This is the pinnacle, man. This is the great rising. The tip of the spear right before the fall. The highest point right before the fall. So Paul said, put on the armor, every piece. There's pieces of armor. You have a breastplate, okay? You have the helmet, all right? You have the sleeves for your forearms and arms with the gloves, metal gloves, you know? The lower trunk has to be covered as well. Your shins, your knees, your thighs, right? So there's pieces. It says, then after the battle you will be standing firm. Stand your ground, put on the belt of truth and the body armor of the Most High's righteousness. For shoes, put on the peace that comes from the good news, so that you will be fully prepared. Okay? In addition to all these, hold up the shield of faith. You have a shield as well, right? To stop the fiery darts of the devil. Right? Because them darts are coming, man. Darts are coming when you're asleep, when you're not asleep, when you're awake walking around, when you think everything's good, there's darts coming at you. Put on salvation as your helmet and take the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. You're driving, you could send up a prayer, man. Okay? You have a 5-minute break, you send up a quick prayer. These things are, they're not hard, man. In your mind, you can set up prayers. Stay alert and be persistent in your prayers for all believers everywhere. Yeah, that was the point. So I just wanted to bring that out. Shalom to the elect.